Okay, hello everyone, and today we're going to talk about the plus que parfait. So, for an overview, we're going to talk about today what the plus que parfait tense is, when we use it, how to form it, and lastly, some examples. So, what is le plus que parfait? So, it's a past tense, and it indicates something that happened in the past before another past event. And the English equivalent of this would be had done something. So, for example, I had ate or I had ran. And just a little tip is it's commonly used with the adverb déjà, which is already. So, how do we form the tense? Um, to form it, just for a little formula, the pluscuparfait equals the auxiliary in the imparfait plus a past participle. And the auxiliary verb in the imparfait is either être or avoir. And you decide this based on what the verb takes as the auxiliary in the passé composé. So we know we have our avoir verbs and our verbs that take être, which is seen in the Dr. Miss Vandertramp or the House of Etre, and verbs that use être, just like in the passé composé, agree in gender and number. So here we can compare manger versus aller. So for manger, for the je form, j'avais mangé. So you see you have your subject je, and then your auxiliary in the imparfait, and because manger takes avoir in the passé composé, we're going to use avait, and then manger, which is the past participle. And then for tu, we have tu avais mangé. But then for aller, because it takes être in the passé composé, we have to use être in the imparfait for the auxiliary. So for the je form, that'd be j'étais allé. And we know because this uses être as the auxiliary verb that it has to agree in gender and number. So for the je form, it can either be talking about a masculine or a feminine subject. And just for the tu form as well, we have tu étais allé, which can also be masculine or feminine, just like everything in that takes être as the auxiliary verb. So just one quick example on why we should use the tense. So, merci pour l'invitation au café, mais j'avais déjà mangé un pain au chocolat. And this translates to thank you for the invite to the cafe, but I have already eaten a chocolate pastry. And we see we have to use the plus que parfait because, you have already done something. You have already eaten. So that have eaten is in the past, but it's referring to another past event, which was the invitation. So for some examples, à l'âge de 9 ans, Emily avait déjà écrit 20 poèmes. So at 9 years old, Emily had already wrote 20 poems. So had wrote, Emily had done that in the past before she was 9. For another one, si seulement j'avais su qu'elles adorent la vanille plus que le chocolat. If only I had known that they love vanilla more than chocolate. So, someone obviously you made a decision about getting vanilla over chocolate, but only if you had known, which is the past of a previous past example, that they liked that flavor more than another. And lastly, Nick était parti avant ils sont retournés. So Nick had left before they returned. So they returned in the past, but Nick had left before that, therefore indicating the plus que parfait. So just for a recap, The plus que parfait is a past tense in French, and it's used to indicate a past event that happened before another past event. And it's the equivalent of had done something. So I had eaten, I had ran, I had spoke. Anything that's in the past before another past event. Then we have our formula, the plus que parfait equals the auxiliary in the imparfait plus the past participle, which is determined by if the past participle in the passé composé uses either avoir or être as the auxiliary verb. And just remember that verbs that use être as the auxiliary verb always agree in gender and number.